Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. Happy Nurses Week from USSI to get started. Today, we're gonna talk a little bit about assumptions, and I'm gonna start off by, on the roundtable, we're gonna talk about assumptions. And I'm gonna start off by just giving you, all of you guys, the definition of an assumption. Assumption is a thing that is accepted as true or as certain to happen without proof. And today we're going to talk about how that can destroy your experience on your travel assignment. So we have Nurse Kelley here with us today, and then we also have Treft, who is tuning in from, I think, Argentina, which is amazing. And then I'll pass it over to Kelley to do the rest of the intros.
Awesome. Candy, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your few, I think it's weeks, right? You're on another continent. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I'm actually currently in Cordoba, Argentina. I've been here just a few short days, but I'm actually traveling for the entire year internationally this year, a different city every month. It's been an amazing experience. I can't say enough about it. It would take me the rest of our conversation to go into all that. As probably everyone knows, I'm the founder of the gypsynurse.com, as well as the network groups and whatnot that go with it. Love you guys' shirts. Those are great. We all, I think, love gypsy nurses, whether they're part of the gypsy nurse or not. Travel nursing is definitely a unique industry. So I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. All right, before we pass it on, give me three things three favorite experiences about your trip abroad, or your multiple trips abroad so far.
Oh, that's hard. Oh my gosh, nothing like putting me on the spot. Let's see. Number one would be the people.
Yeah. Just
the people that I've met all along the way. I've always been a proponent of interactions and personal relationships, and throughout the 4 months that I've been on this trip, I've had an opportunity not only to connect with the other people that are traveling with me, which has become kind of a new community of people that I've become to trust and rely on every day. I've also had a very, very interesting opportunity to connect with local people in a lot of the different places that we've traveled. So it's a fascinating experience, and I really can't give you three things other than maybe three different people. So people is definitely the highlight of the trip.
Awesome. I think that's enough. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, I will go ahead and introduce myself. I think most people tuning in probably know me from the USSI marketing and Facebook and all of our social media, but I am Nurse Kelley. I was the nurse with the doctor's stethoscope from The View a few years back after the Miss America competition. I'm the brand ambassador for United Staffing Solutions and USSI marketing and Facebook and all of our social media, but I am Nurse Kelley. I was the nurse with, sorry, hold on, we're getting a little feedback. There we go. So again, happy Nurses Week, everybody. I'm the brand ambassador here. I love this, and I get to sit in on the round tables, and that makes me really happy. So happy Nurses Week for another time, because we love nurses. But I will now want to switch it over to Patricia. Patricia is our YouTube star that we love so much. Patricia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Patricia. Charitable. I'm a content creator on YouTube, mostly motivation and lifestyle, but I also touch on nursing because it's a big part of my life. I am, I guess you could say, a formal travel nurse.
Doctor's stethoscope from The View a few years back after the Miss America competition. I'm the brand ambassador for United Staffing Solutions, USSI marketing and Facebook and all our social media, but I am Nurse Kelley. I was the nurse with, sorry, hold on, we're getting a little feedback. There we go. So again, happy Nurses Week, everybody. I'm the brand ambassador. I love this, and I get to sit in on the round tables, and that makes me really happy. So happy Nurses Week for another time, because we love nurses. But I will now want to switch it over to Patricia. Patricia is our YouTube star that we love so much. Patricia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Patricia. Charitable. I'm a content creator on YouTube.
Well, you and I get to listen to ourselves.
Mostly motivation and lifestyle, but I also touch on nursing. A big part of my life. I am, I guess you could say a formal travel nurse. But I think that once you're,
I'm the brand ambassador for United Staffing Solutions.
Come on.
What happened? Are we good?
I hope so. Patricia, can you hear me?
I can. I hear you 2 times.
Do one of you have another tab where it's playing back?
I want to switch it over to Patricia. Patricia's our
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, let's just keep
Let's
going.
give it another shot.
Patricia, can you introduce yourself? That's never happened before. I don't know what's going on, but we'll just move forward.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, my name is Patricia Charitable. I am a YouTube content creator and nurse. What I was saying was that I'm a former travel nurse, but I feel like once you're a travel nurse, you're always a travel nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mostly discuss motivation and lifestyle on my YouTube channel, but I do also talk about nursing because I love nursing and that's who I am. So yeah, this is like my 3rd, I guess, or 4th roundtable. Really enjoyed doing it and working with you guys. So it's been awesome. I'm excited about this.
Well, we are super thankful. And I think one of our big surprises too for our viewers today, Patricia, has to do with you. If you saw on our Facebook page and you are a nurse right now that's watching this roundtable, if you like the United Staffing Solutions Facebook page and you ask a comment at any time during this roundtable, you will be getting a free pair of scrubs from Patricia's line. So we're really happy to have you, Patricia, and thank you for that. That will be sponsored by USSI. Back to David.
Good. So let's jump into assumptions, and I'll toss out a question for the 2 of you, and whoever wants to jump in and get started, we'll figure out where we go with the next question. But I guess my first question with assumptions: how can travelers avoid making assumptions when dealing with travel companies?
One.
Patricia, do you want to start with that one?
Sure. I think being well informed is probably the best thing. Making sure that you do your research, you talk to others who have experienced it before, so that you walk in knowing what to expect, and so you're able to decipher and to make the right decisions.
Nice. Candy, you there?
Sorry about that. My internet connectivity is not the best here in Argentina. They're unfortunately known for their internet going in and out continuously. So I missed your question, but I'm happy if you'll repeat it. I'm happy to answer.
It was, what's kind of the I almost want to say the worst assumption you can make when talking with a travel nursing company, and where can it go from there?
I think that that's really an important aspect. Contracts. Don't ever assume anything in your contract. It's important to make sure that you understand everything that's lined out, and don't just assume that because one company did it one way, that the new company or a different company is going to do it the same way. Reimbursements are different. Time off is different. Housing can be different. So if you had fully furnished housing with one company with down to the toilet paper and, the shampoo, whatever, don't automatically assume that that's going to be what furnished housing is with a different company, or even with the same company in a different location. I think that assumptions are one of the things that I think create the most problems and the most complaints within our industry. It's because we expect certain things because that's the way it was in the past or on a different contract. And then we get somewhere and we're like, well, that's not how it's supposed to be. So then we're aggravated, we're upset, we feel like we've been misled, whatever. And all it takes is a little bit of communication and clarification in advance to kind of eliminate the problem that those assumptions can have.
Awesome. That's a great answer. And I have a question off of that. How do the 2 of you get into that mindset, because I think a lot of times, Candy, like you said, we get into the habits and expect certain things from companies and hospitals. How do you keep yourself in that mindset of going into because as human beings, we really get into those, we get into our habits and we expect these things. How do you keep in the mindset to avoid just making assumptions when you're not even, you don't even mean to? How do you stay in that question mindset?
For me, I think that it's just being cognizant that we need to remember that, and the knowledge that it's not always the same. So I think just having that foresight is enough to kind of remember to ask those important questions and clarify those important ideas or contract deviations or whatever. And, again, to truly read your contract. Don't just, I can't emphasize that enough. Read your contract. Know what's in them. If there's things that you've talked to your recruiters about and agreed to verbally, make sure that those items are reflected in your contract. I think sometimes we get a certain trust level with our recruiters, which is a great thing, our agencies or our initial contacts with the company. And because of that comfort level, we a lot of times maybe feel like they're our friend. And although they may be, I like to see good relationships between a recruiter and a traveler. And they may be our friends, but it's also a business relationship. And I think that we always have to keep that in mind, that it is a business relationship and we should treat it as such. Not to say I can't be friendly and ask you about your kids or your cat or whatever, but always keep in mind that this is a business transaction that needs to be dealt with accordingly. So just
Awesome.
being cognizant, I think.
Great. Patricia?
I also think that you should be confident and comfortable to ask those, key questions, because as a nurse, you are valuable. That's why you're able to do this, because there is a need for you. So I think that maintaining a relationship that's open with your recruiter and, asking those key questions and feeling confident to say that, hey, can we get this in writing? Can we add that to the contract? I think is also important.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the most valuable lessons that I learned in this industry was by my first boss. He said, every single person that you hire for our company, you have to remember that you're their career coach. You have to be their boss sometimes. You have to be their psychologist sometimes when they had a rough day. You have to be their money manager. And I think that's what really good recruiters do, or they wear whatever hat that you guys need that person to wear at that time. They do that well. And that's really one of the most valuable lessons, is really being who you need to be when that person that you have that business relationship, like you said, Candy, whatever you need to kind of be a chameleon, So when it comes to housing and assumptions, let's talk about housing, because I know that if I'm a travel nurse and I'm coming from New Jersey to California, there are so many things that I don't know. What about, Candy, we talked about this a little bit, housing and assumptions. Let's just kind of open up the can of worms and talk about how the two of you select your housing and make sure it's a smooth experience.
From my standpoint, I always, when I had company housing, I always did a little bit of research myself. Agencies and recruiters, housing personnel, whoever it is that's setting up your housing, doesn't always know all of the information. They only know what they've been told. And a lot of times, if they're getting their information from the housing providers, they're not necessarily always getting true and accurate information. So I always encourage people to make sure that you do a little bit of research yourself. Look at the neighborhood. See that it's an appropriate neighborhood for you to be in. Don't just take somebody's word for it. One of the things that I've consistently told travelers is, when we have a lot of freedom and a lot of flexibility within our careers being a travel nurse, but along with that flexibility comes a level of responsibility. And with that level of responsibility comes things like checking on the location of the housing, the location of the hospital, whatever it might be. You know, look at the reviews. If you've got an apartment complex name, don't just assume that it's all going to be good. Look at the reviews, read through them, see where it is in the area of the city. You can even call the police departments and find out about, you know, local crime in whatever area. And they're really helpful. There's some websites out there as well. Lots and lots of resources to kind of verify that information. In addition to asking questions, I think some of the biggest complaints I've gotten for housing has been, well, the last apartment I had was completely furnished, and this one has a bed and a nightstand, and that's it. So making sure that, again, you're not assuming and you're asking those important imperative questions beforehand, then it's going to alleviate a lot of disappointment if it's not what you had last time, and really make your experience a lot better as a traveler. You can never be too informed. So.
Nice, awesome, Patricia.
I mean, I agree. I agree with Candy. I know I've done that in the past where I have, you know, gone, if it was like an apartment complex, I went on that separate website, you know, and I looked at, you know, the pictures and things on there, looked at their, you know, apartment listing reviews and things like that, and Google and Yelp. I mean, very, very thorough before. And honestly, even one time, you know, I wasn't there yet, but I had a friend that was in town. I'm like, hey, what do you know about this place? You know, do you have a second to go visit the neighborhood for me, or pass by or pass through? What does it look like to you? You know, anything you can do to make sure you're going to be comfortable. Another thing that I did was I always like Googled how close, you know, the housing was to work, you know, and, you know, kind of what my daily commute would be like. I'm one that hates long commutes. I've been very spoiled in that way. So, you know, if we're knocking on like 45 minutes, an hour, like it's not going to work for me. So that's something that I do too, because if you're a person that doesn't like long commutes either, you know, you just work night shift and you don't want to, you know, be on the road for a long time, you know, that may be something to consider.
Nice.
Yeah, I wanted to just add, kind of from my, I guess, generation's side of this this assumption portion of housing. I think too, not only are the assumptions within the contract of what you're going to get out of your housing sometimes detrimental, but also before you even look into housing, which to me means, can I even get housing? Can I even have the opportunity to have furnished housing? And it's almost like a backwards assumption. Like, there's no way that I can have really nice housing. There's no way that I can have furnished housing. There's no way that my dog can come with me if I want to be a travel nurse. There's no way that I can be close to work. So it's almost like not technically the assumptions once you're in a contract, or you're just assuming that you have something that you may not. But there's some people that are already assuming that they can't even have something in the beginning, which is deterring them from traveling at all. I've heard a lot of different people say, well, you can't take pets when you're a travel nurse, right? I have a dog, so I can't be a travel nurse. But really, it's the exact opposite. And by assuming that, they're missing out on a lot of really great types of things within their contract, especially pertaining to housing. So
that's a really good point. I think that's the four of us, I think, have all the same mindset, because I think we're all pretty accomplished. If you put your mind to it, anything can happen in the world, and we all know that. So that's our advice. Real quick, I want to ask. Oh, go ahead, Candy. Go ahead.
Sorry, can I just add real quick? Just off of what Patricia had stated, as far as distance to the hospital, I actually, my very first contract, had a situation where I made some really bad assumptions, and I assumed that because my housing was like 3 miles away from work, that my commute was going to be nice and simple and easy. However, my morning commute, because I was in the Boston, Massachusetts area, ended up being nearly an hour each way. So along the same lines, you know, look at the traffic patterns, and look if being close to work is important to you, like it is for Patricia and is for myself too. I'm a lot like you, Patricia. I like to be close. I don't like to spend half of my day getting to and from work.
Yeah.
So look at, you know, don't assume that distance is always the ultimate variable there. So I think that that's important. Also had another situation where I was in a really remote small town, and I, up to that point, had very nice housing, you know, corporate type apartments, fully furnished, that sort of thing, because I'd always worked in larger metropolitan areas. So when I went to a smaller area, a small town, my assumptions or my expectations were still at this level, and there was really nothing in the area that even compared to what I was actually accustomed to and expecting on that contract. So I think expectations go right along with assumptions, in that, you know, really have a clear idea on what your expectations are versus what reality maybe really is. I ended up spending the first 2 weeks of that contract looking at every possible option to get me better housing, and I couldn't find it. So.
Nice. So you mentioned, you know, we'll stick on the housing topic for a couple minutes because I have a burning question. So if you don't have a furnished apartment and you're in a city for 3 months, how do you furnish that apartment? Do you go out and buy new stuff? Do you get old stuff? And you know, I guess it's a two-part question. How do you furnish the place, and how long does it really take you to get settled into that apartment or that new home?
Patricia, do you want to start this one?
I've heard that you can rent furniture.
Okay.
But honestly, I don't see myself being in that type of situation. You know, getting adjusted at work is hard enough. You know, you really want to walk in a situation that's comfortable, where, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, purchasing a bed set or anything like that. So I'm not sure I'm the right one to answer the question, because, you know, I've never had that experience before.
Okay, Candy, I'm sure you know this.
I can touch on it a little bit. I've personally never had unfurnished housing.
Okay.
However, I have had sparsely furnished housing. So, and I've, within the network groups and talking with other travelers, I've seen a
Uh-oh, looks like we lost Candy for a second.
Yeah, maybe when she comes
Oh.
back, she'll be able to.
Is she there?
No, when
Nope.
she comes back, hopefully she lets us know so we can finish out that thought.
Patricia, what's your one of the YouTube, somebody on the comments asked, what's the number one thing that, you know, that the number one reason you got into travel nursing? What got you what was the reason you really dipped your toe in the water and went out there and traveled?
I think the answer to that is twofold, in that I just love traveling. I just love it, whether it's just a neighboring city or whether, you know, it's another country, or, you know, I love traveling. Even this year, I've already been to Bermuda, and I think I went to Mexico twice already. So I just really love traveling. And so, you know, not only that, but I was a relatively new nurse, so I wanted to put myself in different type of working environments. And so my objective really was to do that as much as, you know, my experience would allow. So I had the opportunity to work on, like, you know, ortho floors and oncology floors, and even in the ER. And, you know, otherwise I may have not had that experience, and you kind of have like a snapshot of that specialty, even though I was taking care of medicine patients, but, you know, some of the, you know, comorbidities that may be specific to that population. I was able to say, you know, oh, I didn't think I was going to like oncology, but I actually like taking care of, you know, cancer patients, and realized that I didn't like ortho, and I probably don't want to ever work on an ortho floor again. But travel nursing gave me the opportunity, because I was able to work, you know, for 3 months in one area, and then, you know, sort of move on and, you know, explore that specialty a little bit more.
Nice.
Great.
I think we have, is Candy still having internet issues? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Great.
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you, but we can hear
Yeah, my video is not wanting to work. The internet signal is not.
That's totally fine. We got the voice. That's great. So I'll let you continue the question. And the question I asked was, what do you do, and what do you do when you're coming into a new city and you have a partially furnished bedroom or something? How do you go out and get new furniture and get settled?
Well, I was saying that I've not had the opportunity to not have furnished housing. I've been lucky enough to always have furnished housing, although there are times that it's been really sparsely furnished. So in times where I've had really sparsely furnished housing, what I've done is just utilize the local thrift stores to, supplement whatever furniture I felt like I needed to buy, skillets or a bedside light or little things like that may have been missing that I felt I really needed to make it a little bit more comfortable. I know a lot of people utilize those same type of resources for that. I think it's really rare not to get some sort of furnished housing. It's just making it, with the furniture and the things that you really need to make it feel like a home for 3 months.
Nice. Awesome. I think we're getting close to the end here, but I wanted to make one point, or actually this is directed towards Candy. Number one, I think your travel nursing group on Facebook just hit, did I see 50,000 followers in there? Is that true?
That's right. We just hit 50,000 members, which is super, super exciting for us.
That's really awesome. So on the same topic of the Gypsy nurse, what was it? What really got you in? When you thought about this, like, what was the reason what was the original thought and reason you started the Gypsy nurse group? Because it's been the growth has been absolutely incredible for you.
Well, the original reason for starting it was really just a place for the nurses to connect with one another, whether it be for education and information, or whether it be for, a buddy on contract. And I think that I know the group has definitely well exceeded my initial expectations as far as the resources that it provides for the travelers, whether it's, somebody that is in a bind and needs a night to stay somewhere because their housing fell through, or, just needs some information. Patricia had mentioned earlier that she, has a friend every once in a while. If she has someone in the area, go look at a location or an apartment for her. That's something that I've seen the Gypsy nurse members do for one another. So it's those kinds of things that really make the group a truly resourceful thing for the travelers. And honestly, it's just completely exceeded any of the expectations I ever had for it. And that's due to, participants, not only the travelers, but also the agency members that participate in that group and help, educate and inform the travelers.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I think our time is up. Patricia, do you have any, Patricia and Candy, you guys have any closing remarks that you want to give out to all those nurses that we're celebrating during Nurses Week?
I'd like to say happy Nurses Week to everyone. And as far as assumptions go, I've got 3 key points that I think you need to keep in mind. Number 1, remove your internal feelings. Our internal feelings can really change what our assumptions are. Make sure that you're not getting partial information. So always clarify and make sure you're getting all the information possible. And don't let your previous experiences kind of overcloud what the current situation is.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's some really valuable information, Candy. Patricia?
I would like to say Happy Nurses Week as well. And I guess what I'd like to sort of close with is that I want everyone to remember that they're valuable, and that if they're looking into going into traveling, that they are confident, and ask the question that you need to ask and do the research that you need to do, whether it's using, sites like, the Gypsy Nurse, or talking to anyone that who has gone through the experience before. Don't be afraid to do that. I've talked to some of the nurses that even I work with, who are very interested but intimidated by the whole experience, you know. And I think sometimes just, you know, being open and honest and confident in the fact that you are valuable helps to sort of bring that anxiety down, because it can be intimidating, but I think it's an awesome experience that everyone should do at least once.
Nice. Well, yeah, my takeaways today are research, and something that I always do when I start something new is I try to open my mind up and don't walk into it with any assumptions, and really keep an open mind and ask questions and educate myself very, very thoroughly. And I think if all nurses, travel nurses that are getting into it, going into new assignments, I think that can help a lot of just having an open mind and really, you know, educating yourself ad nauseum on what you're going into exactly. So I think that's it.
Yeah, for me, just ending with a third Happy Nurses Week, but also to piggyback on what Candy and Patricia said, we continually refer to this industry as the travel nursing industry. And I just think it's very important for every travel nurse to remember that the travel nursing industry would not exist without the travel nurse. So
Yes.
There's a control on that side, and that they're protecting themselves, looking out for themselves, doing research, not making assumptions, and getting answers to their questions that they're satisfied with, that it can be a very symbiotic, beneficial relationship. But the travel nurse will always come first, as he or she should. So
Yes.
that's mine.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys. Have a good day. We'll talk soon. Candy, enjoy your travels.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed speaking with you guys.
Good.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks.
See you guys next
Thanks, guys. Bye.